Let me ask you something uncomfortable right from the start. What if most of what you call truth is nothing more than your brain desperately connecting dots that don't even exist? Yes, you, sitting there. You're not built to see reality as it is. You're built to see patterns. And that makes you both brilliant and blind. Picture this, 100,000 years ago. Your ancestors are in the grasslands of Africa. The night is thick. The stars are sharp. They hear a rustle in the bushes. Now here's the choice. If they assume it's just the wind, and they're wrong, they get eaten. If they assume it's a predator, even if it's only the wind, they survive. Which brain wiring wins? The one that assumes the pattern. The one that connects random rustling to the image of sharp teeth and claws. That's the beginning of your nervous system learning to over-detect meaning. Because the cost of a false positive was survival, and the cost of a false negative was death. So yes, congratulations. You are the proud descendant of paranoid pattern seekers. Fast forward. Humans lift their heads to the stars and they don't see chaos. They see hunters, lions, twins, gods fighting eternal wars in the sky. Constellations, stories, myths. Do you see it? The same bias that saved you from the predator in the bush now makes you map gods into the sky. The brain is screaming, don't leave anything meaningless. Connect it, weave it, build a pattern, and so you do. This is why you see faces in the clouds, why you hear messages when a song plays backwards, why you think your phone lights up exactly when you were just thinking of them. It's called Pareidolia, your brain's refusal to accept randomness. And here's the cruel irony. You are far more comfortable believing a lie wrapped in a neat pattern than the messy truth of chance. That's why you lock your car and then check again. That's why gamblers swear their number is due. That's why religions are born from burning bushes, eclipses, floods, and lightning. The brain doesn't whisper coincidence. It roars message. Inside your skull, the visual cortex and temporal lobes are wired to detect edges, shapes, repetitions. The amygdala lights up with fear at the smallest suggestion of a threat. The dopamine system rewards you when you think you've cracked the code. So your entire biology is tilted toward one thing: pattern recognition, even when the pattern doesn't exist. Of course, this is not all bad. This same wiring lets you read words on a page, recognize your friend's face, predict the rhythm of a song, drive a car, play chess. But it's also the same wiring that convinces you the universe is sending you signs because you saw 11:11 on a clock. It's the same wiring that makes you think your dream about water was a warning, about tomorrow's accident, and you believe it. Oh, how you believe it. Here's the irony, my friend. You're watching this video because your brain is addicted to patterns. You want to learn why things happen, how to see the signs, how to connect the dots. But deep down, you're not chasing truth. You're chasing comfort, because a random, meaningless world is terrifying. But a world full of patterns, even false ones, feels like home. Let me give you an example. Scientists once took a group of people and sat them in front of a computer screen. Every so often, a green dot appeared randomly. The subjects were told, try to figure out the pattern. Hours passed. They scribbled notes, made diagrams, argued. Some swore the dot appeared after they blinked. Others said it was linked to the researcher's cough. The truth? It was 100% random. And yet, their brains refused to accept that. They invented rules, stories, systems. Sound familiar? It's the same way conspiracy theories are born. Now think about your own life. How many times have you looked at events and said, this must mean something? The breakup, the job loss, the song that played right after you thought of someone. Your brain built a thread, a narrative, a cosmic wink, and maybe, just maybe, that wink was never there. Now, here's where I want you to feel slightly uncomfortable. Because while I'm telling you this story about your brain is doing it right now. It's looking for a hidden message in this video. It's wondering if the fact that you stumbled on this today is a sign. It's not, or maybe it is. That's the trap, isn't it? So here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain is a brilliant liar. It evolved to keep you alive, not to reveal the universe. And every pattern you see, whether it's in the stars, in numbers, in dreams, in the faces of strangers, might just be a story your neurons made up to soothe you. But don't get too relaxed yet, because in the next part, we'll go even deeper. From survival to belief, from gods in the sky to the gods inside your head, and you'll see why humanity is still trapped in the same ancient mistake, just dressed up in religion, politics, algorithms, and self-help books. Have you ever wondered why, across history, people kept building entire systems to explain reality? From religions to astrology, from numerology to alchemy, from psychology to neuroscience, the pattern is the same. The human brain hates the void. When reality seems too chaotic, too unexplainable, We invent frameworks that bring order, meaning, and narrative. That doesn't mean these systems are false or ridiculous. On the contrary, they are powerful, precisely because they reflect our deepest need, the need to see patterns. Think about it. Astrology, for example, is not just about constellations in the sky. It's about projecting cosmic rhythms into human lives. It gives structure to the unknown, a way of naming forces we feel but can't measure. Religious traditions do something similar. They connect invisible patterns of morality, destiny, and transcendence to our everyday actions. They give language to what cannot be touched, turning mystery into map. These maps are not wrong or right. They are mirrors, and mirrors can both illuminate and deceive. Why? Because the brain doesn't just detect patterns, it creates them. Let's go deeper. Imagine ancient humans looking at the stars. They didn't have telescopes, satellites, or physics equations, but they saw the sky repeating itself, the moon waxing and waning, the sun rising and setting, constellations returning year after year. From that, stories were born. Myths, gods, archetypes, each one a way to capture the pattern, to encode it into memory, to pass it forward. That's not foolishness, that's genius. Because the alternative would be silence, and silence is unbearable to the human mind. We are storytelling creatures. We don't just survive on food and water, we survive on meaning. So the pattern-making brain does whatever it takes to protect us from chaos. Fast forward. Today we have psychology, psychiatry, and neuroscience, but the function is the same. Freud gave meaning to dreams. Jung gave meaning to symbols. Modern science gives meaning to neurons firing in electrical storms. Different maps, same need. Notice how every era believes it has the final truth. Astrologers once claimed to hold the keys of fate. Medieval theologians claimed to speak God's absolute plan. Today, neuroscientists sometimes claim that consciousness is just chemistry. Different voices, same pattern, order over chaos. And every time the brain feels relief. Here's the twist. The danger is not in the maps themselves. The danger is in mistaking the map for the territory. Religion, when rigid, can become dogma. Astrology, when used blindly, can trap you in stereotypes. Science, when arrogant, can reduce the infinite mystery of existence to equations on a whiteboard. The pattern brain is powerful but also dangerous, because once it sees something that looks like order, it clings to it, even if it's an illusion. That's why humans see faces in clouds. That's why gamblers see hot streaks in randomness. That's why conspiracy theories feel seductive. They turn chaos into a pattern, even if false. The question is not, do patterns exist? The question is, which patterns are useful and which ones are prisons? Let me provoke you. Imagine you are staring at static noise on a TV screen. Nothing but black and white dots moving randomly. Most people can't help it. They start to see shapes, a figure, a letter, a ghostly image. That's pareidolia, the pattern recognition system of your brain firing at full speed. Now imagine this applied not just to a screen, but to your life. You meet someone 3 times in a week, and suddenly it feels like destiny. You see repeating numbers, and it feels like the universe is whispering to you. You dream something, and the next day it resonates with real events. Are these random coincidences or hidden connections? Here's the truth. Your brain doesn't care. What matters is that you believe there's a thread, and that belief gives you a story, and that story shapes your reality. This is why all traditions deserve respect. Because whether through prayer, horoscopes, meditation, or therapy, they all serve the same essential function, protecting the human mind from drowning in meaninglessness. But there's a catch. The same mechanism that protects can also trap. If you believe the horoscope as destiny, you may stop acting freely. If you believe dogma as unquestionable truth, you may stop thinking critically. If you believe science explains everything, you may close your eyes to mystery. Patterns are powerful, but freedom lies in remembering they are patterns, not prisons. So, here's the uncomfortable question. If your brain is wired to see patterns even where none exist, how much of your reality is real, and how much is your mind's masterpiece? When you prayed, and something happened, was it divine intervention or selective attention? When you followed your birth chart, and it came true, was it fate or self-fulfilling prophecy? When science told you this is impossible, but you felt it anyway, was it delusion? Or was science just too young to measure it? The irony is sharp. We may never know, and maybe that's the point. Because the pattern brain is not a flaw, it's a feature. Without it, there would be no art, no science, no religion, no philosophy. Without it, humans would stare at the void and collapse. The gift is not in escaping patterns. The gift is in choosing them. In recognizing that every map, sacred, cosmic, scientific, or personal, is a lens, not the landscape. So, as you listen to this, ask yourself, which patterns in your life are giving you strength, direction, and meaning? And which ones are silently chaining you, keeping you smaller than you are? Because the truth is, you can't stop the brain from making patterns, but you can decide whether those patterns make you free or keep you trapped. You think the world today is rational, scientific, enlightened. Let me break that illusion. Your brain right now is doing the same thing it did when ancient humans stared at the stars. It's scanning, filtering, connecting dots. But the stage has changed. Instead of constellations, we see Instagram feeds. Instead of omens in the sky, we see trends on TikTok. Instead of gods throwing lightning bolts, we see market charts rising and crashing. The mythology's changed. The mechanism did not. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We are not free thinkers. We are pattern junkies. The dopamine rush you get when a notification pops, that's your brain rewarding pattern recognition. The paranoia you feel when things look too perfect, that's your brain preparing for the hidden twist. The way you can't stop scrolling, that's the same old survival wiring, addicted to finding the next signal in the noise. We live in a society that has industrialized our need for patterns. Algorithms are designed to feed it back to us, to show us just enough repetition to feel safe, and just enough surprise to keep us hooked. That's not an accident. That's engineered manipulation. Think about advertising. The slogan repeats, the logo repeats, the jingle repeats. Why? Because your brain eats patterns for breakfast. The moment something repeats, your neurons build a shortcut. And once the shortcut is built, belief follows. That's why you crave the same brands. That's why political slogans work. That's why conspiracy theories spread like wildfire. It's not about truth, it's about repetition. And repetition feels like truth. Now let's talk relationships. Ever noticed how you keep falling into the same type of love story? The same type of fight, the same emotional loops? That's not just bad luck. That's your brain replaying a familiar pattern. Even if the pattern hurts, it feels safe. Because to the brain, familiar pain feels less threatening than unfamiliar chaos. This is why generational trauma exists. This is why cycles of abuse repeat. This is why entire families live out the same financial struggles over and over. The pattern becomes destiny, unless you interrupt it. But here's the twist. Modern society doesn't just exploit your need for patterns, it monetizes it. Social media isn't free. You pay with your attention. Streaming platforms aren't entertainment. They're pattern-shaping machines. Financial markets aren't about numbers. They're collective belief systems, where billions gamble on repeating rhythms of boom and bust. We built a world that mirrors the brain. A world of loops, cycles, trends, virality, feedback. A world where meaning itself is packaged, sold, and rebranded. Let me challenge you. Look at your own daily rituals. The apps you open without thinking. The thoughts you repeat every morning. The habits you can't break even though you hate them. Each of these is a neural groove, carved deeper and deeper by repetition. Neuroscience calls it plasticity, but let's be blunt. It's programming. You are being programmed by culture, by algorithms, by family, by yourself. And here's the irony. Even knowing this doesn't set you free. Because the knowledge itself becomes another pattern. So what do? Do you smash the system? Delete your apps? Escape to the woods? Some tried. Few survived. Because the truth is, you can't escape patterns. You can only choose which ones you dance with. The Stoics knew this. They repeated meditations daily, turning philosophy into a ritual. Mystics knew this. They prayed, chanted, moved in rhythm. Scientists know this. They run experiments, test variables, confirm results, repetition until truth emerges. Every path is repetition. Every life is pattern. The only freedom is awareness. Let's get brutally real. Your anxiety? It's a pattern. Your self-doubt? Pattern. Your endless chase for validation? Pattern. And patterns are sticky. They whisper, "Don't fight me. I am you." But here's the liberating secret. You are not the pattern. You are the awareness watching the pattern. You are the silence between the repetitions. The world wants you to forget that, because as long as you identify with the loop, you are predictable. And if you are predictable, you are profitable. So let's ask the rawest question. How much of your life is truly chosen? And how much is simply the next note in a song your ancestors started long before you? Is your free will just a remix of old grooves? Are you scrolling because you want to, or because the loop is stronger than you? Are you loving freely, or repeating the template of your childhood? These are not comfortable questions. But they are necessary ones, because until you see the cage, you can't step outside of it. And here's the paradox. The more clearly you see the patterns, the less power they hold. Awareness is disruption. Awareness is rebellion. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. You don't need to destroy the brain's love for patterns. You just need to remember, You are the one choosing which ones to feed. The loop can be prison, or it can be prayer. The same rhythm can enslave you or save you. The question is, which song are you dancing to right now? So here we are. You've seen how your brain builds cages out of loops. You've seen how society turns those cages into business models. But here's the burning question. Can you break free? The answer is yes, but not in the way you think. See, most people try to escape by running away. They delete apps, change cities, end relationships. And yet, they find themselves repeating the same stories in new places. Why? Because the pattern isn't outside. It's inside. Wherever you go, your neural wiring goes with you. It's not geography, it's psychology. So how do you break the cycle? Not by smashing it, but by outsmarting it. Think of it like hacking your own brain. Every loop has a trigger. Every loop has a payoff. If you can identify those 2 points, you can rewrite the script. For example, you check your phone every time you're anxious. Trigger, discomfort. Payoff, temporary relief. Loop complete. If you replace the middle step, if instead of scrolling you breathe, or write, or move, the pattern weakens. Do it once, it feels strange. Do it 10 times, it feels possible. Do it 100 times, it feels natural. That's not magic. That's rewiring. Now let's go deeper. Some patterns are not just habits. They're identities. I'm the anxious one. I'm unlucky in love. I'm terrible with money. These aren't just thoughts. They're stories. And stories are the heaviest patterns of all. They loop for decades, sometimes for generations. Here's the shocker. Most of your identity is nothing but recycled storylines. You inherited scripts from your parents, your culture, your society. You perform them daily without even realizing. Want freedom? Then question the story. Ask yourself, who told me this? When did I first believe it? Who benefits from me staying in this loop? These questions are dynamite. They loosen the soil where your roots have been trapped. And once the soil loosens, growth becomes possible. But there's another layer. Breaking patterns isn't about rejecting them all. It's about choosing them consciously. You can repeat mantras. You can pray. You can meditate. You can train your mind with rituals that elevate instead of enslave. Every wisdom tradition in history understood this. We don't escape patterns, we redirect them. The monk chants. The athlete drills. The artist sketches. The entrepreneur rehearses pitches. Different arenas, same principle. Repetition, but chosen repetition. Here's the paradox. Freedom is not the absence of patterns. Freedom is the awareness to pick them deliberately. You can choose gratitude instead of complaint. You can choose presence instead of distraction. You can choose curiosity instead of cynicism. And yes, it takes effort. Yes, it feels awkward at first. But the truth is, your brain doesn't care what pattern you feed it. If you repeat it enough, it will believe. That's how plasticity works. That's how transformation happens. Let's ground this with a story. There was a man who smoked a pack a day for 20 years. He tried everything. Patches, gum, hypnosis. Nothing worked. One day, his daughter looked at him and said, "Dad, will you be alive at my wedding?" That moment rewired him. The trigger changed. Every time he wanted a cigarette, he saw her face. And suddenly, the old loop was weaker than the new one. He quit, not because he fought the pattern, but because he replaced it with one more powerful. That's the secret. Don't fight your patterns. Replace them with ones that serve you better. Now let's talk about you. What's the pattern you've been stuck in? Is it procrastination? Is it self-sabotage? Is it chasing approval? Be honest, brutally honest. Because the first step in breaking the spell is naming it. A spell loses power when you call it by its name. So say it, even if just to yourself. This is the loop I've been living in. It's not weakness, it's awareness. And awareness is always the first crack in the wall. One last thing, don't romanticize the struggle. The world sells you the idea that change is lightning. It's not, it's repetition. The very thing we've been talking about all along. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So every conscious choice, every repeated action, every small rebellion is literally sculpting your brain into a new shape. Freedom is not an explosion, it's a slow burn. But once the fire catches, there's no going back. So here's the uncomfortable question. Are you brave enough to choose your own patterns, instead of letting the world choose them for you? Because whether you act or not, the loops continue. The only difference is, are they yours or are they borrowed? So let's land this together. We've walked through illusions, through neural loops, through stories passed down like family heirlooms. We've seen how your brain, brilliant as it is, can also become your blindfold. And now the question isn't just, why do I see patterns everywhere? The question is, what will I do with that power? Here's the truth, you will keep seeing patterns. That's not going away. Your brain was wired for it before you were even born. But now you know something most people never realize. Patterns are not prisons. They are possibilities. Every loop you recognize is a door. Every repetition you catch is a mirror. And every story you rewrite is a revolution. Think about it. How many moments in your life felt like coincidences? The numbers that kept repeating, the faces you kept meeting, the doors that seemed to open by chance. Was it random, or was your brain training itself to notice? And here's the twist. Does it even matter? Because once you notice, the pattern becomes fuel. It becomes meaning, and meaning is what drives everything we call human. Now, let me push you a little further. Maybe the patterns you've been seeing lately, the numbers, the signs, the so-called synchronicities, maybe they are not just noise in the system. Maybe they're invitations, not cosmic guarantees, not absolute truths, but whispers. Pay attention here. This loop might hold your breakthrough, and if you dare to act, to step through the door instead of just staring at it, your entire reality can shift. So let me leave you with this image. Imagine your life as a tapestry. Every thread is a thought. Every knot is a habit. Every color is a choice. Most people die never realizing they were the weaver all along. But you've just seen the loom. What you do with it now is yours to decide. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Awareness is not enough. Awareness is step one. Step two is action. So I'll ask you directly, yes, you listening right now, what is the one loop you're finally ready to break? Don't just think it. Name it. Speak it. Write it. Claim it. Because that's how spells dissolve. And if this video made you stop for a second and actually think, don't let it end here. If this video made you think, subscribe and drop in the comments the last pattern you swore you saw out there. Maybe your brain is just training, or maybe it's trying to tell you something.